not a case of you guessing, it's a case of you just looking in the manual and the information should be there. Okay. Just get this out of the way. So once you've established the advantages and disadvantages, decide will this method be beneficial for your personal training business? Explain the reason for your decision. Okay. So again, it may be a case of if there are more advantages to disadvantages, or if the advantages are stronger than the disadvantages, you may say, yeah, that's the one for me. Okay. Um, Hopefully, at least two of the ones in here will be of benefit to you. Okay, hopefully. Okay, so again, if we look at the other methods that you can use for targeting blogs, so I think I'm right in saying that one or two of you, I think Sophia, you've got quite a big presence on social. So I don't know if you do blogs. Quite useful things to do. I think it does require confidence, being in front of the camera and talking to people. Okay, it can be quite disconcerting because all you're seeing is just a camera, and you're hoping that there's going to be people on the other side that will engage with you. So it can be a bit disconcerting, but uh, that just requires you to just practice and have the confidence to do so. Digital marketing and social media. So again, same thing. I think that digital marketing, social media is probably going to be the way to go because clearly, um, most people use social media in one form or another. So when we talk about digital marketing, we are talking about the use of things like TikTok, Facebook, and other social media, which is what this is all examples of. So what you see here: Facebook, internet, Twitter, for Twitter. Um, well, it's not Twitter anymore. X, boom. What's the other ones? What's that? My phone. Threads is another one. What else do we have? LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads, Nextdoor, Blue Sky, Facebook, TikTok, and others that I probably won't be aware of that you younger people will. Very useful, good idea to familiarize yourself with how to use those tools so that you can market your business. A lot of the time it's about content creation. And again, I think I'm right in saying that someone likes I think I'm right in saying that you do quite a bit of that. So maybe you could give some advice to anyone in the class who's struggling with that. It's not one of my strengths either. But yeah, it does require a bit of time creating content. But it needs to be done because that's what these particular media are all about. Okay. Posters, you can use posters, but that's going to limit your reach. So if you're using poster, you can only attract the people that are in the facility because they're the owners that can see the poster. And same with leaflets down here. Okay. Cold calling, okay, that requires a lot of confidence. And can some people say that's a waste of time doing cold calling? Because with cold calling, you're going to phone people who you've not engaged with before. The way that will work is that you will probably have used your social media. You probably would have asked them to DM you if they are interested in your service, and then they've left their details, and then you call them back. Okay. Again, that's a confidence thing because a lot of people struggle with speaking, selling themselves to strangers. Okay, but remember, you are your business. You have to be able to sell yourself and sell your business. When I say sell, I mean promote. That's what I mean when I say sell. So you need to be able to promote yourself and your business in order to get clients. If you struggle to do that, chances are you'll struggle to get clients and to have a successful business. Okay, so those of you who are a little bit introverted, you've got to try and find a way of getting over that. Press release. Okay, so with a press release, I don't know how effective they are these days because most people don't read newspapers, for example. But if you can get a press release, that's used to be a useful way of getting people to know your business. But like I said, most people tend to use more of a digital media instead of written media. Other techniques, so looking at those websites, media, newspaper, magazines, radio. Again, those are the more difficult ones. Okay, you'd have to have something really special or to have done something special to grab someone's attention to be able to make use of these for free. Okay, because ideally, again, you want to limit the cost to you when it comes to marketing. Don't market on the cheap, but try not to spend too much money on marketing unless you know it's the most effective media for you. Email marketing, so again, that can be a bit hit and miss. Okay, and quite often it goes to people's junk and then they just dismiss it. But it's again, it's an option. And then we've talked about the digital things like Google, AdWords, word of mouth referral incentives. So that's going to be a slow one. It's going to be very, very important, that word of mouth referral. Okay, and that's really going to be as a result of you getting results from your current set of clients or previous clients. Okay, now if you're good at what you do, you get the results. Your client is likely to refer you to other people. Okay? Now, yes, it's a slow process, but at the same time, you know that the clients that you're working with, they're able to use their direct experience of you to promote you to other people. Okay, so it actually is a very, very good way of business growing. Yeah. And then trade fairs and exhibitions, okay, that's not always easy, especially being able to, let's say, have an official presence there, so you can officially promote your business. Okay, so like for example, at a trade fair, you have lots of stalls all over the place of people promoting their business, and sometimes it can be difficult to know when these trade fairs are occurring, and then quite often you have to pay a certain amount of money to have a stall. The other thing is you can go to these as a visitor, and then if you're able to, start handing out your business cards, for example. Okay. That's if people still use business cards. Typically, people may use things like QR codes. But if you're not sure what QR code means, QR code just means quick response. Let me just let Jose in. So QR code, okay, so that's a QR code, obviously, so if you don't know. And quite often people will have these instead of business cards and they have it on their phone. And it's quite handy because, if you're trying to get someone to get your contact details, you just open up your phone and just tend to use their phone to scan your QR code. And that way you don't have to walk around with loads of business cards. So it's definitely worth having something like that. So decide which you are going to use to attract potential clients. Evaluate the techniques, specifically looking at advantages and disadvantages. Again, when we finish this using this set of slides, I will open up the business plan documents that I have. I do have one here, but I didn't look at it fully. Again, just to double check if this left-hand column is already populated with marketing techniques. Again, if it is, just come up with the advantages and disadvantages for those techniques and determine will this method be beneficial to your personal training business and explain your reasons why. Remember, don't forget to explain the reason. Don't just put yes or no. Yes, because, or no, because. Most appropriate method to market your business. So having evaluated these three, then choose one, and then how that market research will be conducted, and then how you're going to analyze that data. Okay. Again, details about this are all in the manual. Okay. Before I continue, any questions on that? Right. So let's look at business planning. So a successful business always sets targets it wants to achieve. Okay. So what are your goals? What do you want to achieve in your first year of business? So that could be to do with having a certain number of clients. It could be to have a certain amount of financial turnover, or it could be to open up your first your studio, or to be running 5 boot camps by the end of 12 months, whatever. Okay, that goal is obviously personal to you because it's your business. So it's not for me to tell you what your aims and objectives should be. Okay, so the aim is what do you hope to do? In other words, your overall intention for the business. So the overall intention could be to run a successful personal training business where I am combining face-to-face with online personal training and selling products, for example. Okay? And then the objectives are the specific steps you need to take to achieve your aim. So objectives are the things you need to do that's going to help you to achieve that particular aim. Okay? So, that could be to do with your marketing. example. So, marketing my business, monthly, investing X amount of pounds into my business weekly, whatever it is. Again, it's for you to determine. But again, the manual will give you some ideas on that. So as discussed, it is essential to set targets to measure success against. Okay, think of those as SMART goals. So in the same way that you set SMART goals for your client in terms of their fitness and their nutrition, you should do that for your business. Okay, and you could argue you should probably do that for other aspects of your life. Okay, setting SMART goals. The long term, this is what I want to achieve, and then break it into short, medium, and long term goals. So it could be relationship, it could be studies, it could be business, it could be whatever. So, setting goals and making them smart, whatever the subject is quite a good idea. So milestones are specific goals with timescales included. Okay? Easiest way to answer this section is to think about where you want to be in 1, 2, and 3 years of your business. Okay. So we've got example here. I want 20 clients a week, gathering £600 per week within 12 months of starting my business. Okay, so that's the example. Now, when you complete your stages and milestones, you must include a time frame. Okay, without a time frame, it's not a milestone. Okay, so this is what you want. This is where you want to be at this particular stage. Okay, it doesn't have to be every year, like it says there. It could be in month 6, in month 9, in month 12, whatever. Okay. Again, we'll have a look at the business plan to see if it's pre-formatted with timescales. Unique selling points, okay, your USP. Now, very important that you do have a USP, unique selling point. However, it can be difficult for it to be genuinely unique. Okay? However, it could be relatively unique compared with your immediate competitors. So by that, what I mean is if you're operating your business from a health club, for example, your immediate competitors are the other personal trainers. Now, if you work with low back pain patients, for example, on its own, that's not particularly unique. However, if your other PTs in that facility don't work with low back pain clients, then it is a relatively unique selling point because you're the only one that does it in that particular facility. Okay? So there may be a million PTs in England that work with low back pain patients. However, in your gym, if you are the only one, then that is your USP. Okay? So what are your unique selling points? What makes you stand out from other organizations or other personal trainers? I'd go more with other personal trainers rather than other organizations because you are not an organization, you're a personal trainer. Okay? So specialist qualification like low back pain that I just mentioned. Maybe you do outdoor sessions, group sessions, you offer discount packages, maybe you have your own facility. These are just simple examples. Okay? So when you complete this, don't feel that you must choose from one of these. Okay? Have a look at the service you are offering, okay? And decide if you feel it's one of your USPs. Okay, so someone like Kyra, one of your USPs would be your experience in the martial arts world. Okay, because especially if you're working with clients who like to do pad work, if you say, right, I'm an experienced competitor or I'm a champion X, Y, and Z, then that would be a great USP. Okay, so any of you who've competed at a relatively high level, that's going to be something that you could add as a USP. Some of you may just work with, pre and postnatal. That could be a USP. Some of you may run 10 marathons. Again, if you're going to be working with runners, that's going to be a USP. But see if you can come up with, to get your 3 marks, see if you can come up with 3 USPs. Okay? So you want a minimum of 2 to get your 2 marks. But on conclusion, remember it has to be a USP. So don't say I'm a level 3 personal trainer because guess what? They're all level 3 or above. Okay. So sticking again with marketing. So what are you going to promote? Okay, what is your USP? Do you have any special offers? Okay, so you might have a special offer, for example, refer a client and you get a session free. Okay, or you might have packages. So let's say you charged £60 per session, for example, and then you're going to sell a block of 10, you might give a 5% discount, okay, on a block of 10, or you might give a 10% discount on a block of 20. What services will you offer? So again, be specific, not just I'm a personal trader, because if you're operating from a health club, for example, with 20 personal trainers, guess what? Well, they're all personal trainers, okay? So specifically, what service are you going to offer? Now, when you promote yourself, always promote yourself in terms of how you help somebody. Okay, so let's say you have a website or a business card or a promotional leaflet or something, whatever it is, you might say something along the lines of, "I help people. Um, I help people be the best version of themselves." In fact, that's my tagline. So on my website, that is how I promote myself. I help you be the best version of yourself. I don't promote myself as I'm a personal trainer. Okay, it's not about who you are. It's about how you can help somebody. So always promote your business that way. So what do you do? I'm a personal trainer. No, what do you do? I help people who are overweight get down to the size that they feel very happy with, or I help people improve their quality of life through nutrition. So it's always about how you help people rather than what you do. Okay, so always remember that when you're promoting yourself. Who are your target clients? Okay, so again, when I promote my business, I said I work with men between the age of 45 to 60. Okay, I help them be the best version of themselves. So that's my target audience. Okay, you could be more specific. Okay, so it could be looking at the demographics. In other words, whereabouts these people are, their financial situation as well. Excuse me, because maybe you want to work with people who can afford £80 an hour. Okay? So that you need to factor that into who you're targeting your marketing strategy to. Okay, there's no point going down to the poorer parts of Croydon. If you want to charge £80, you want to go to Edgware Road, because there's people down there, they could probably afford £200 an hour. Okay. Um, how will you keep your clients? Okay, so you need to think about that as well. So is that a case of offering them a free service? Is it a case of giving them a free massage? Is it a case of not increasing the price for your regular clients, but increasing it for new clients? So again, it's a case of you coming up with ideas. There is some stuff on this in the manual as well, but you should be able to come up with some ideas and ways that you feel is best beneficial for you to keep your clients. Okay. But remember, what you don't want to do is end up losing too much money. So if it's a case of giving away one free session for every 10 that they book, then okay, that's if you feel you can absorb that, then fair enough. But at the end of the day, it's a business. You're there to make money, not to be giving away freebies. So be very selective when you're doing things for free, because remember, people do not value freeness. They don't value it. Okay? It's free. They don't value it because they have nothing invested. So to run your business, you're going to need some equipment. Okay. So what are you intending to purchase to launch your business? So again, here are some examples: the domain name and the website. Okay. So when it comes to domain names, quite often people will use their own name in their business. Other than that, you can come up with some funky name like Daffer's Boot Camp, or whatever. Okay, you may just call yourself, like me. Mine is Paul McKenzie Fitness, so it's just my name, website, and fitness. I think it's quite a good idea to personalize it, because remember, it's your personal training business. It's your business. Okay? Now, if you feel that you are going to expand your business and have other people working for you, then you might want to reconsider using your name, because other personal trainers working for you may feel a little bit unhappy, unwilling to offer their personal training business, but using your personal name, okay, even though they're working for you. So if you had, like we've got here, Focus Fitness, if your business was called Focus Fitness, for example, and you are hiring other personal trainers, then I think it's easy for them to buy into your business because it's not your personal name that they're having to wear on their t-shirt. Okay? But like I said, if you're going to be a one person operation sole trader, then yeah, it may be quite useful to just to use your name. And every time someone types your name into the website, into their search engine, it comes up straight away. Okay? Business cards and flyers you might need. Okay, so even though I did talk about the QR codes, it is still quite useful to have business cards as well. Okay, because again, some people may not have their phone on them for whatever reason, so you just hand them a business card. Okay? It just means having to pay additional money to have that done. So I've actually got one as well, and I do keep a copy of it on my phone to show you it's. Yeah, so I keep a copy of one on my phone as well. So I've got the QR code and the business card on the phone as well. But with business cards, generally, they'll be actually cards. For those of you who don't know, the actual cards, they're mostly credit card size. They're actually hard cards that you might have a stack of them. You might get, say, 100 or 200 printed. But I do like the idea of just putting on the phone as well. Okay. You might need kettlebells. Okay, we all know what kettlebells are. Why might you need those? Well, you might be working with clients outside or going to their homes. Okay, uniform or clothing. Again, I think if you're operating as a sole trader, going door to door, for example, definitely get a uniform. Get a little logo, get your business name on there, rather than just turning up with a Nike T-shirt. It's personal training. You need to differentiate yourself from somebody else. You need people everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, you want people to see that you're running a business and to know your name. Okay. So when I was doing sports therapy, I had a T-shirt and it had the business name on the back of it. Big bold print was my domain name and my mobile phone number, and I wore it everywhere. Sainsbury's, Tesco's, to the gym, wherever. I was always in those spots. So I was constantly promoting myself. You might need to get other qualifications, and I say might. I would say 100% go out and get additional qualifications. Not necessarily straight after having completed your level three. I'd say having done your level three, probably spend about 6 months just you know getting that there, getting experience, and then maybe after that look at now upskilling rather than just sticking with level three. Okay, because trust me, there's a limit to your appeal if you're just a bog standard level three personal trainer. Again, you might need some weights, resistance bands, for example, mats, uh, boxing gloves, and mitts. Yeah, you'll definitely need insurance, 100%. Okay, so what I'd say is before you do any of these other things, get your insurance. Okay, because you're qualified level three. You've said to your friends, "Hey, guess what? I've got my certificate. I've just qualified," and they've told somebody, and immediately that person says, "Yeah, I'm interested in personal training me." So now that happens before you've done your domain, you've got your business cards, you've got anything else. That happens if that happens before you've done anything else. You want to be in a position to say, "Yeah, okay, yeah, we can start tomorrow." But you can't do that without your insurance. Okay? So before you get anything else, get your insurance. Now, I think CINSPA, because I think that the qualification is recognised by CINSPA, which is the Chartered Institute for the Management of Sport and Physical Activity. Okay, so CINSPA, they're the main body. I think you should be able to get your insurance through them. Okay, so definitely these are things you need to consider, but you also now need to know the cost. Okay, so once you know which one of these things or anything else that's not on here that you're going to use to launch your business, you need to know how much all of these things cost. Okay. All businesses go through difficult times, especially when starting up. The key to success is overcoming difficulties. Okay. So it says here, for example, could specialist training help? So look, areas of risk and difficulty. So you could require special training. It could be that your initial financial investment is insufficient. Okay, so by that I mean the amount of money that you put into the business to start it up. Maybe that wasn't enough. Okay, because maybe you said, "Well, I'm going to just spend £100 on marketing. That's all I've got at the moment." But you don't get anything as a result of that marketing. Now you're in a bit of a bind because you've run out of money because you didn't have enough to expand your marketing. So that's simply another example. So a contingency plan could be to get a loan, for example, or it could be to upskill or whatever it is. So again, there may be some information on this in the manual, okay? But I think it's for you to use a little bit of common sense, okay? Because remember, some of this common sense, some of this is through experience, and other parts of it is going to be through doing some research, okay? So, you're running your business, just think of uh, your limitations, okay? And knowing your limitations, what risks are there, or what difficulty might you um, uh, um, be up against or experience in trying to run your business. Okay, and like I said, typically it may be financial. It could be inability to get clients. It could be that the location that you live in, there's not the client base that you want. It could be something even as silly as where you live. You want to run an online business and your internet connection is pants. I know that mine can be a bit ropey at times. Okay. All businesses must have a duty of care for their clients and ensure their safety at all time. Legal action could ensue if this is neglected. Okay, so you then have to, for this section, outline the health, safety, and legal insurance requirements. So here's these next few slides. There are some examples. The management of health and safety at work regulations that may not apply to you. The Equality Acts. Okay, so it's just a case of being aware of equality and the protected characteristics. Okay, so gender, sexual preference, etc., etc. Actually, no, that term sexual preference is not correct because it's not a case of I prefer this. I think it's sexual orientation. I think is the wording. Health and Safety at Work Act. That's something really that should be the focus of the employer if you're working at a particular location. Data Protection Act. So yes, definitely consider that if you are a freelancer. Okay, so in other words, you go to a client's house and you are going to be holding their data. Okay, you need to be mindful of the Data Protection Act. Okay, so essentially, any information you have on your client that you maintain digitally, that is on a computer, must be password protected. Anything that you hold as a hard copy, like a piece of paper, should really be filed away in a lockable filing cabinet. Okay? I think most of us say these things, but most of us don't actually do that. Think about personal accident and sickness cover. Okay, so that's for you. That's not for your clients. That's for you. Okay, quite important to have that because in the event that you are sick, you want to be able to get some financial cover for that. Okay. Professional indemnity. Okay, so again, that's going to protect you in the event that it's something that you do that causes injury to your clients. Business motor insurance. So if you are using your vehicle to either get you from one place of work to another, or let's say between clients or to carry equipment, it's probably important that you do have that business motor insurance. Okay? It's going to be more expensive than your regular insurance. But let's say you were on your way to a client and you've got equipment in your car and you had a big accident and all your equipment is damaged, but you just have a regular insurance, you're not going to be covered. Because with the regular insurance, you just said to your insurers, I'm using my car for social and domestic purposes only. Okay. So if you said I'm using it for social and domestic purposes, which is why we most use our cars, but it turns out that you're using it for business purposes, you're not covered. So definitely consider getting that business motor insurance if you are going to be using your vehicle for business purposes. Okay. And then cyber and data risk. I'd say just make sure that your computer, laptop, tablet, phone, whatever, you've got suitable spyware, anti-spam, anti-this, using Norton, using McAfee, whatever. Just make sure you have those things protecting your devices. Okay? Other things to consider, so getting a private qualification and doing CPD, continued professional development. So organizations like CINSPA that I mentioned earlier, that you should probably be a member of, or any other organization, typically they want you to accrue a certain amount of points from CPD. Okay, so CPD comes with it points. 5 points for this. It could be if you go on a long course, it could could be 20 points, whatever. So even though you are required by organizations to be doing CPD, it's in your own interest anyway. Okay. But be aware, CPD can take the form of simply just doing some reading and research on your subject. Okay. It doesn't mean getting something that's got a certificate. Okay. Only problem is that with somewhere like CIMSPA, it can be difficult to prove that you've been doing your own research and your own reading. Whereas if you go on a course where that you do get certificate, it's easy to prove because here's my certificate to show that I've done the CPD. Okay. But definitely keep on doing it because it's going to update your knowledge. Make sure you conduct yourself in an appropriate manner, so in other words, be professional. Transparency and high standard professional conduct. Okay, so again, be professional, be mindful of your client, be empathetic, promote openness and honesty, mutual trust, respect, and responsibility, and maintain safe exercise environments. So when you're working with clients, especially those who are coming to you, they're coming to your venue, your house, or you're going to work in the garden, an open space. It's your responsibility to make sure that everything's completely safe. Okay. Remember, you are not there just drafting a program, taking somebody for a workout. You must add value and show complete concern for this person. They're giving you their hard-earned cash. They are putting themselves and their trust in you to help them achieve a particular goal. Okay, so there's more to this than just working them out, stand there and looking pretty. Okay, you know you're running a business. It's your reputation as well. Okay, your reputation. As soon as you start getting bad feedback, then it's going to be a very, very hard struggle to get yourself back up to where you need to be. So always be mindful. Always think. You know. About professionalism, offering value, justifying what you're charging, okay? And communicate with your client, okay? Because you need to know they're the best person to tell you if you're doing your job well. Okay? Don't be afraid to ask your client, you know, because I think for some people they may think, well, if I ask my client for feedback, I'm going to look like I'm a beginner. I'm going to look like I don't know what I'm doing. Doesn't matter, okay? Always get feedback from your clients because they're the best person to tell you how to improve. Okay. Profit and loss. So I'm going to touch on this, but I don't want you to make any movement on this whatsoever. Okay, so by all means, make a start on what we've discussed. So your marketing, your market research, CPD, that kind of stuff. But for now, don't touch this bit. But I just want to cover it a little bit. But I will be covering it again sometime further down the road. Good. So to work out whether you are making money, it is useful to understand how to produce a profit and loss account. So you list your monthly predicted revenue streams. Okay, and this is the important thing. When we do it, appreciate it's predicted, okay, because you cannot guarantee your income. So it has to be predicted. So for example, one-to-one personal training could be a revenue stream. You might do fitness classes, other revenue generators. So you might sell products, for example. You might do online classes. You might offer nutritional plans if you're qualified to do so. List your money expenditures. In other words, what you're going to spend your money on. Okay. So, you know, examples are some of these things that we mentioned earlier. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to go back to the slide, but some of the things that we mentioned earlier could be stuff that you are going to spend your money on: marketing, mobile phone, website, uniform, travel, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Fundamental business acumen is to keep your business expenses as low as possible and generate as much money as you can. Okay. So you want the money going out to be as low as possible. You want the money coming in to be as high as possible. Okay. That's kind of like common sense. That's an example of one of those common sense things that I said. Okay. Money you spend must be kept to a minimum. Money you make must be kept to a maximum. Keep on top of your company's or your business finance, or they will overwhelm you. Okay? So, you know, have a spreadsheet listing your incomings and your outgoings and check it regularly or update it rather, update it regularly. Okay? If you are doing very, very well, you're going to need to employ the service of an accountant. Okay? It's going to cost you, but at least you know that the bookkeeping, in other words, your figures, okay, is being updated and done professionally. And then by the time you can submit your figures to the HMRC, okay, who's managing revenue of customs for tax purposes, then because your accountant has done it, you don't have to worry about it. They just submit it and you know those figures are accurate. Okay. But if you're running a small business, one person, sole trader, and your income isn't very good, very large rather, then I would just say do it yourself. Get an app, spreadsheet, or whatever. Okay. And on that point, I have a spreadsheet that I will share with you. I'm going to show you what it looks like, but on a maybe in a couple of weeks' time, I'll share it with you. And I recommend you either use it permanently or do your own version. Okay, but do appreciate it's something that I've put together. It's not a focused fitness thing, and you don't have to use it. Okay. It's important to set financial goals. So, what do you want out of your business? Okay, so in other words, maximum financial gain, simply enough to live comfortably, to expand as quickly as possible and employ staff. Main focus is helping people, and money is a bonus. Okay, so these examples of what's your business focus. So you might, if you want maximum financial gain, so for example, you might say, right, I want to be able to earn £100,000 a year at the end of the first year or second year or third year or whatever. So your focus is just about money, money, more money, more money. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. You may be a little bit more modest, okay, and you don't really want to afford a yacht, afford a Lamborghini. You just want to be able to live comfortably. Okay, so again, money is not your big focus. So you may be happy with 60,000 a year, for example. Okay, you might, this is an example here. So maybe you're the kind of person who wants to have something a lot larger where you're employing people, and your business can expand from doing more than personal training. Okay? Maybe start running a studio where you do dance or martial arts, whatever. Okay, or you may just, maybe your whole reason behind this is just because you want to help people. So maybe you've got a job, part-time job, full-time job, whatever, but you like the idea of helping people with their fitness goals. So it's just something that you're doing on the side, really. Okay. So yes, you're getting a little bit of money, but because you've got your main source of income somewhere else, you might say, yeah, but I like helping people, so I'm only going to charge £30 an hour because I'm happy to get a little bit of £30 because my main focus is to help other people. Okay. So it's for you to decide, what it is you want to get out of running personal training. But it says down at the bottom here, yeah, be realistic too. So I'd say if you're a brand new level 3 personal trainer, say, yeah, by the end of year one, I want to earn £100,000 a year. Okay, yeah, you might want that, but is it realistic? Probably not. Probably not for the majority. For the majority, I mean, I'm sure somebody has been able to earn £100,000 at the end of their very first year. And it's realistic for that person based on their set of circumstances and their target audience and their use of social media, etc., and the people around them. So for some people, it is doable. Okay. Use of information technology will help you run your personal training business. So research some IT applications you can use to aid your business. So it could be smartphones, social media, websites, etc., etc. How will it help you? And what issues might arise? Again, there's some information on this in the manual, but again, for some of it, it could be a bit of common sense. Okay, so you could decide that you want to get your clients to use a particular kind of app. What issue might arise? Well, you could find that your client's just not really tech savvy. Okay, or it could be that the more people you get subscribing to the app, the more it's going to cost you. Okay, so some of these are common sense things, some of it is research. Okay, when I send you this set of slides, you'll see these websites that should be able to help. Now, I haven't actually looked at any of these websites. I know this set of slides, they're not the newest. Excuse me, so I don't really know if all of these links work, but we'll find out at some point soon. Okay, so within the documents that you have for the business plan, you obviously need to complete this section as well. Okay, so with the IT, how will you use your digital profile to positively promote the business? Okay, so your digital profile, in other words, that's your presence out there. So let's say you're on LinkedIn or on Facebook or whatever, how are you going to use that to help with your business? IT applications that will be used to support your business. So some of you may use like a personal training app. There are lots of PT apps out there like Trainerize, PT Hub, whatever. You might choose to use one of those, okay? And then outline the risks and benefits of each of those, okay? So you need to have two applications, okay? Yeah, two applications, and then outline the risks and benefits to both of those. And then how will you monitor or interpret the data that you gain from those? I'll definitely recommend in at least one of these, put in a personal training app, okay? Because and then download an app, and then or at least go on the website for that personal training app and understand how it can be used, because there's a lot of data that you can use from these personal training apps that will help you monitor your business. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this. I just want to quickly look at the business plan document. So I'll stop sharing that. Let's share something else. Just give me 1 second while I find the. Ah, here it is. This one, and so just give me 1 second. No, you can't see both of those. You can only see one of these. Okay, so you should be able to see the. It's bigger. Right. So this is the business plan document that you have. Now, can one of you just confirm, because I need to make sure you've got the same version, the correct version. If you either have yours in front of you or if you remember looking at it, can any of you remember if the page that says market research, if it has this first column filled in like that? Can someone just let me know if they recall seeing that?
No, mine doesn't.
Okay. Does anyone recall seeing that on the market research? So bullet point number 3. Okay, so if none of yours has that, that probably means you've got the wrong versions. Like I didn't print them. Okay. Right. So if that's the case, don't. If that's the case, don't fill this in. I will send you by email today this version. Okay. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it anyway. Yeah, I'll do it anyway. Yeah, so I'll send you this version because I did say some of them are populated in with this already. So I'll send this version to you. Let's see what else is in there already. Yeah, you see, so the marketing techniques, this bit's already filled in. You then just got to outline the advantages and disadvantages. So yeah, I'll send you all this version. Yeah, I'll do that. Now, there's something in particular that I wanted to outline, and this is very, very important because when it comes to the financial bits, just get rid of this and put you guys on height. So when it comes to the financial bits, okay, you have to complete this section. So this is your profit and loss, okay, and you've got to write down your income here and your expenses for each quarter. So you've got quarter, this for a whole year. So a quarter is going to be 3 months, okay? Month 1, month 2, month 3. This section here is going to be all to do with the money you got coming in. This here is about the money that's going out, okay? And you've got to do that for 4 quarters, okay? So obviously 4 quarters is an entire year. So quarter 1 is month 1 to 3. Quarter 2 is month 4 to 6. And quarter 3 is month 7 to 9. And then quarter 4 is month 10 to 12. So all of those quarters look exactly the same. You write in your income. You know, this is all going to be money figures here. You're going to identify your costs and then the value. So in other words, how much these things are. So let's say that was rent, for example. Then you're going to say £50 or £100. Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Is this on our actual income or what?
No. So this is projected. So this is what you feel that you should be able to earn. Okay, so it's all projected. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're just speaking into like the future.
Yes. Yeah. Because remember, this the only thing that may be accurate is going to be the costs. Okay. So let's say, for example, one of your costs is going to be t-shirts because you're going to print t-shirts. Then really, you should actually do the research, contact a company like Vistaprint and say how much it's going to cost to print X amount of t-shirts. So your cost should be relatively accurate, but your income won't be. Your income is just a projection of what you feel you might be able to earn. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So you do that for all those 4 quarters, and then you've got to work out your total profit and losses for each of those quarters. Okay. So this would be the total income for quarter 1, total income for quarter 2, etc., etc. Then your total costs those quarters, and then the cash balance. The cash balance is costs minus income. Okay. Now, right now, some of you are thinking, "Oh my God, I can't do this," but trust me, it gets a lot easier because I've got the solution for you. Okay, and let me tell you what the solution is. Or let me show you what the solution is. So I'm going to stop sharing this and share my calculator that I put together, and that's going to make life extremely easy for you. So let's find Windows, this one here. Okay, so I will send you all a copy of this calculator, and what I want you to do for now is just focus on what I'm going to cover right now. This is going to explain how to use this, but I will do it again. So on that business plan that I just showed you, where we were looking at the costs, the overheads and income, you're going to put all your figures into the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet will do all of the calculations, and you just transfer these figures to the business plan. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. It says the estimated number of clients that you'll train twice per week. Okay? You don't have a choice. It's all been set up for clients you will train twice per week. So in this spreadsheet, all of the boxes that are blank, they are all the ones that you can edit. All of the boxes that have something in it already, you cannot edit. So this is blank. So in month 1, you might say, I think I might be able to train 3 clients per week. Okay. And in month 2, I might train 5 clients per week. And in month 3, I might be training 6 clients per week. Okay. Estimated number of sessions per week. So if you're training 3 clients twice a week, that means you're doing 6 sessions per week. If you're training 5 clients twice per week, that means you're doing 10 sessions per week. Okay. And therefore, the number of sessions per month will be 24. Okay, because there are 4 weeks a month. Cost per session, you must enter how much you want to charge. So let's say I want to charge £50 a session. You just type in 50. You don't need to put in the pound sign. Just type in 50. Okay. Now, what will happen? It populates across the entire month. So if I put 50 in here, I've set it so that the rest of the month will say 50. What it will then do is calculate the income for month 1. It calculates the income for month 2, and it calculates the income for month 3, and it gives the total income for that entire quarter. Yeah. Okay. So that's your income, that first quarter. Now you need to work out your expenses. Now this is important to understand with this that I've done for you guys. If you click on the box here, you'll see a drop-down box appears. You just choose your expenses. So let's say advertising. And that populates across all of these. Go to the next box, drop-down box. Maybe you've got equipment. Again, you notice that populates across the entire thing. Again, drop-down box, click on. Maybe insurance. Insurance. Okay, let's try insurance. Why did that not work? Insurance, yeah. So again, you see how it populates all the way across. Okay, so you don't really have to come up with expenses. I've put them all in there. So all the drop-down boxes, they're all the same. Just click on them and you've got a whole raft of expenses. If there's something in there that you think is an expense that I haven't included, then just click on other. Okay. And it's for you to now either do some research or have a rough guess as to the costs. So let's say advertising was £100. Let's say my equipment was 200. Let's say my membership was £30 and my insurance was £40. Okay, I'm just making up these figures. So what you see here, it then adds up all the costs from month one. So it's the total cost here. Do the same thing for the other months. Right, put in your figures here. It will add them all up. Okay, so again, I'm just putting just silly figures just to show you how it works. Okay, so these are simple random figures. So again, month two is all added up and it's total there. Month three has been added up and it's total there. And then the entire quarter, which is all of these added up, has been totaled up here. Okay, so your net profit is your income minus your costs. So that's what this is here. So for month one, your net your net profits, okay, for month one has been calculated here. Your net profit for month two has been calculated here. Now your net profit for month three has been calculated here. And then the total net profit for the first quarter is being calculated here. So my point is, I've set it, it does all of the calculations for you. You just got to enter figures. Okay, you've got to do no calculations. Once you've done that, then you do the same thing for quarter number two, quarter three, and quarter number four. Okay. And so remember, anytime you put in the cost of your sessions, so you might decide the cost of your session is not going to change. So then you'd put in the £50 again, and you'll see that entire quarter gets populated. Maybe in quarter three, you decided I'm going to put my prices up to £55. So again, all of that is populated to say 55. And then maybe you're going to put it up again to 60, for example. You'll see all of that gets populated at 60. Okay. So again, it's just a case of you being realistic with your figures. So at the end of, say, by month 12, if you've decided that you're going to be training 50 clients twice a week, that's going to be unrealistic. Okay, that's going to be unrealistic. So even though all the maths will add up, an assessor, myself, I would look at that and say, nah, revisit this, because there's no way you're going to be training 50 people per week twice a week. It's not going to happen. Okay. Now, once you've done all of that, these next bits automatically get worked out for you. Okay. All of these get automatically worked out for you. Now, I don't want to dwell on what these are. I just want to point out just one thing very, very quickly. So you see these letters here, A, B, C, D, all these letters here. See all these letters here? Okay. And moving on to here, you see these letters here? Okay. So I put those there for a specific reason. I put it here so that you know where to put these figures in your business plan. So the business plan that you have will not, the financial bits do not have these letters. Okay. These are letters that I have added to the business plan version that I have. So I will send you the version that I have, which has these letters already in there. Where you see the letter A in quarter one, you simply put in these figures. Where you see the letter B in quarter one, you put in these figures. Where you see the letter I in quarter one, you put in that figure. Okay, and same for quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. So let me just show you exactly what it looks like on the business plan. So I'm going to stop sharing. Before I do that, are there any questions about this? Okay, there shouldn't be, because like I said, you just put in figures. It does all the calculations for you. So there shouldn't be any questions about this. So let me just show you exactly whereabouts these letters are on the business plan I'm going to send you. So let me stop sharing that. Come back to... And so on the business plan, I'm going to send you. So you see the letters? Okay. So you see these letters there. So all you do is look at where it says Q1A, and then you write those figures in here. Q1B on the spreadsheet, that is, look for Q1B on the spreadsheet, you write the figures in there. Okay? And do all of that for the 4 quarters. And then for those other letters, where you see J, K, and L, write in the figures from the spreadsheet. Look for where it says quarter 1J, write the figures in here. Okay. So remember, with the spreadsheet, you're just entering figures. It does all the calculations, and then those calculated figures are what you're going to put in here. Okay. So you can be guaranteed that your calculations will be 100% correct all the time, providing you use the spreadsheet. But remember, it's my spreadsheet. It's not a Focus Fitness thing, so you do not have to use it. Okay. I need to emphasize that because just in case something goes wrong, I don't want you to say, yeah, but Paul said we have to use this. It is your choice to use it. I do recommend it though. Okay. So are there any questions about that? Like I said, I'll send you that, but not today because I don't want you to focus on the financial stuff. I just want you to do the marketing and market research. Okay, so any questions? Okay, cool. So I'll send you the current version of the business plan. So disregard the one you have. If you've already done parts 1 and 2, keep that, okay, because parts 1 and 2 are exactly the same on the old version as the new version. Okay, so part 1 is a SWOT analysis, part 2 is a CPD. So they're exactly the same. So don't disregard that bit if you've already done it. Okay, so I'll send that through to you. I'll send you the slide that we just used and a link to the 2 p.m. webinar. Cool. So in conclusion, thank you all for attending. If there are no questions, I will see you all at 2. Okay. All right, cheers. Yeah. Feel free to say bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. All right, take care. See you later.